All right, we're going to talk about how to get people to give you what you want. So there's layers to this, but we're going to talk about how to do it on this plane, and we're going to talk about it how to do it through the astral plane with your astral body. So if you've been on this channel, you already know we talk a lot about metaphysics, spirituality, and I done made a lot of videos talking about astral travel and astral projection and stuff like that. So I think it's been a while, so let me update y'all on some more stuff. All right, so look, this astral projection thing is probably the most difficult thing to figure out, because in order for you to really get good at astral travel, you're first going to have to eliminate your fears. This is something that I've been talking about. This is the same thing as me saying something like you need to make sure your chakras are aligned. This is the same thing as me saying you have to believe in yourself. Being fearless is something that you have to know thyself. Okay, so all of these different cliches that you hear spiritual people say, like know thyself and all that other stuff, all this stuff is basically for you to recognize that, one, there's nothing to be afraid of here. There's no such thing as danger. And two, you can have control of anything ever. Everything. Anything that you're involved in, you can control it. That's what being a god is. And you're born aware of these things, and you're aware of these things when you're in these other dimensions. But in order to make this more fun, we dumb it down. We dumb ourselves down whenever we come into this place. So in this reality, we're like a small fraction of what we truly are as a soul. So anyways, that's a whole another subject for another time. But look, so if you want to get people to give you what you want, and yes, this includes money, because of course, the one thing that people want more than anything, it seems, is money, right? I'm sure there's a lot of other things people want in life, but just follow me. So the only way you're going to get more money is by getting somebody else to give it to you. That's how this works. So obviously, utilizing these things that I'm about to explain to you can help you to get people to give you whatever it is that you want from them. Now, I'm not saying use this for nefarious purposes and all that stuff, but hey, to each his own. You can use everything for good or bad, and truth be told, there's no such thing as good or bad anyway. So do whatever you want with this information, but know that, hey, things do balance back out. So don't think you're gonna get away with something. But anyway, so first of all, on this reality, first of all, thing number one, recognize when you're more self-aware and more powerful than somebody you're dealing with. Okay, this is something that you could really get total control of. If you get control of being aware of yourself, this is know thyself. This is expanded consciousness. Because if you're sitting here, right, and you're explaining something to somebody, if you're even explaining something to somebody, that means that you're already aware that you know something that they don't know. So there's no ego involved. Like if you know that you're more informed on a given subject than somebody else, on a given subject, that's one thing, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about with this. What I'm talking about is if you're more aware of yourself as a whole than somebody else is, aka you're more spiritually inclined than they are, then it's going to be a lot easier to manipulate them as opposed to somebody like me, for example. If a person who's not very spiritually inclined try to control me, it's not going to be very easily done, because of the fact that I'm more aware of myself. I already question my actions. I'm already critical of my decision making and stuff like that. But somebody who's a lot less intelligent, for example, me at a lot younger of an age, would be more susceptible to somebody else's choices. So this being said, it's something that we have to make sure that we're paying attention to, in order to know how quote unquote easy it might be to get what we want out of somebody. Because you're dealing with somebody who's strong, hard-headed, experienced, wise, etc. It's not going to be as easy to control them as somebody who's inexperienced and naive, you know? So that's just a given. So thing number one is be aware of who you're dealing with. So if you know you're dealing with somebody who very easily would pay you anyways because of whatever reasons that might be, whether they favor you or whether the service or good that you're providing for them is invaluable, you got to know how easy it is to get money from people. First of all, in your point of view, it needs to be as simple as this. It's easy for me to get what I want, always. Anytime that you tell yourself that you can't have something, or if you have access to something but you deny yourself it, this is not going to work too well with on this journey of becoming a god. Because if you're living a lifestyle in which you know that you want something, if you know that you want something and you have access to it right now, but you don't allow yourself it at the given time, that's kind of like telling yourself subconsciously that you don't deserve it. So if you really want to get good at this, you're going to have to be able to grant your own wishes, and do not hesitate. Don't think of, oh, well, if I spend the money on this, then I might miss out on something later. You can't think like that. That's a lack mentality. That is something you have to eliminate. You have to be aware that there's no such thing as missing out on something in this place. If it's for you, you'll have it, period, whether it's now or later. But the biggest point that people seem to miss is that it's only going to really be able to present itself to you, but it can't give you access to it without you granting yourself access to whatever it is. Now, that's given experiences, whether it be physical things or people, and experiences with people, or even having new and brighter ideas. You have to open yourself up to receiving this stuff. That's the feminine energy. All of this creation and stuff, that's feminine energy, but of course it's masculine and feminine. But imagining it and allowing yourself to have it, you have to be sure that, or not be sure, of course you got to be sure of what you want, but you have to know that you deserve it. And let me just go ahead and let you know, you deserve whatever it is that your heart desires, whatever it is. So look, continuing on. Now, how are we going to utilize this in the astral plane, and how are we going to do it in the physical plane? Okay, so let me go into the astral plane real quick. In the astral plane, people aren't really aware of this, but you can very easily influence people's thoughts in the thought realm, right? So if you're somebody who's got like an immense amount of time on your hands during the nighttime, right? Now, I'm not talking about the kind of people who got to set an alarm clock and get up at a certain time. If you do that, if you live that kind of lifestyle, it's not going to be as easy for you to do this. You got to, first of all, unlock your freedom of having free time in order to give yourself what you want. Because that's the biggest thing about being able to get what you want. You have to, one, be able to give yourself enough time to create it. And the way you create things in this world is with your thoughts. And that's something that people don't seem to really recognize. People say stuff about manifestation all the time. I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that. That sounds good. But really, the only thing that you need to do in order to get stuff is sit your ass down and just think. And that's really hard for somebody to wrap their head around, because you think that you have to work for it all the time. Like, a lot of people would think that you always have to work hard. Hard work isn't necessary when you can get things to come to you. You could just think hard. You don't have to work hard when you think hard. But that might be a concept that a lot of people can't really comprehend or wrap their head around. But trust me when I say it's something that you have to comprehend. You have to have your mind on this. You have to be able to recognize that, look, I can tell myself that I'm gonna have something and know that it's coming, and it simply comes. That sounds ridiculous. And that's the thing. When you're doing magic, or things that might be considered magical or supernatural or unlikely, any of that kind of stuff, you have to think outside the box. You can't think like the average person. This is right brain stuff. This is feminine energy. You have to be able to see what you got in your mind before you even have it in this reality. And that's something that a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around. But look, bro, let me tell you, I'm a living testament to all this stuff. I wouldn't even be talking about it on this channel if I didn't know it works, and people that I teach, it works for them too. So look, let me keep going. All right, so that's just one part of it. Is the astral plane part of it is simply getting into your astral body, right? Now, this is once you've eliminated your fears and stuff, you lay down. It's time to lay down. You can't have on your mind that you got to wake up soon or none of that other stuff. Do it when you know you can rest for as long as you need to. You go into your astral body. First of all, you command yourself mentally. You command your astral body to come out, right? Now, easy exercise that I haven't mentioned on the channel before. I got plenty of videos talking about how to get out of your body, but you can easily do this by visualizing a suction cup, right? Like a big ass suction cup being above your body. And then visualize it literally sucking all the air from around you and sucking your astral body out of your regular body until you feel a pop, or you start feeling these violent shakes and stuff. So whenever you go through that, then you could mentally tell yourself, now this, mind you, this is something if you have a very specific person that you want something from. But when you're on this, once you get out of your body, you can just think of whoever you want to think of, and you could show up in their room. You could show up, you could see what they're doing. Like, this some third eye shit, and this is some stuff that is very much so taboo, and not many people even know that we can do this stuff. But anybody can do this stuff, bro. Especially if you got skin that look like this, like 3D skin that's stretchy and stuff. But mind you, animals can do this stuff too. Like, it's all the same consciousness. But look, anyways, so when you are in the astral plane, you can think of something and the commands will be obeyed immediately. In this world, you kind of got to wait for stuff to come to you. This is a really dense reality, so it takes time. But in that reality, stuff basically is instant at all times. So once you recognize how powerful that thought form is, or any thought forms that you have in that reality, you can really take flight with whatever it is that you do. You also need to be pretty aware of who it is that you're dealing with, because if you're dealing with somebody that is not very open-minded, if they're not deep into the spiritual or the occult or anything like that, you could definitely startle them or bother them, or maybe even just make them uncomfortable enough to where they won't tell you about the experience they had when you show up as an apparition in their reality. Now, mind you, you have to do this during certain times. Yes, time exists. No, time doesn't exist. Everything is and isn't. Get your mind around that. So look, if there's a time period in which somebody is alone in a room, laying down, and they're in a state of hypnosis or they're asleep, right? It's going to be a lot easier to access them and their consciousness than if they're wide awake and they're moving around and they're not paying attention to who they are. Because really, everything is upside down. So whenever you're around here, you're actually sleeping. As far as like being aware of your higher self, you're not paying nearly as much attention to yourself as if you were falling asleep or if you were dead in another reality or something like that. So look, that being said, whenever you go into this place, right? So for example, I want to think about my great-grandfather, right? Say my great-grandfather's alive and I know he's sleeping right now. I want to go talk to him. I'm going to simply do this. I'm going to lay down at around the same time that I know he's asleep. I'm gonna do the astral suction cup, pop out of my body. You can get out of your body however you want. Whenever you get good at this astral travel stuff, there's so many exit strategies. You'll get creative and just start coming up with stuff. You can ball yourself up into a ball mentally and then roll out of your body. You can freaking imagine that you're in a hammock swinging, etc. It doesn't really matter. Just get out of your body. Once you get out of your body, think of who it is that you want to be with. Think about what they're doing at this given time. You have to be able to visualize better than anything, and in order to create all of this stuff, you got to be good at seeing stuff in your mind's eye. That's it, bro. You got to be able to see stuff that's not physically around you right now. So it also could help if you're going to visit somebody who you've seen them before, you've seen their house before, you've seen what their bedroom looks like, etc. But you don't need any of that stuff in order to really do this. You just have to be able to channel frequencies. We're walking radios, to be honest. Like, we're like antennas. So as long as you can tune into the right frequency, you can pick up on anyone, anything, any idea you have, whether you have experienced it or not. It's all the same thing. It's just a matter of tuning to the right frequency. So look, anyway, you do that. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them. You can see whatever they're doing, etc. Now, don't be a creep with this now. But mind you, if you get really good with this, like if you're good enough to even do this advanced stuff that I'm talking about, you're not going to want to use your powers for some dumb, immature stuff anyways. You're going to actually make it worth your time to do the stuff that you're doing. So, I mean, that goes to give it. Because if you are the kind of person to like use things for nefarious reasons, or you got bad intentions, or what some might call bad intentions, more than likely, your chakras ain't working properly enough. You're not going to be able to vibrate at a high enough frequency to do stuff like this anyway, because this is definitely advanced. So, that being said, if you are not even experienced in this type of stuff, you definitely should check out my prior videos talking about astral projection, astral travel, etc. because this is more advanced astral travel type of stuff. So look, also on this reality, on a given thing, back on, just to touch back on something I said before earlier in this video, when you know that you're dealing with somebody who's more easily manipulated than you are, that's in any reality, you can get them to give you what you want. So we're going into the astral plane, we could implant thoughts into their ideas, into their mind and stuff. Like, for example, if I got a business, like say I'm selling a house, right? I'm selling a house. I know this person got the money. I want them to buy my house from me. Maybe for whatever reason, they're kind of hesitant. I could astral travel into their mind, implant a thought into their mind, and then come back into this reality. They might call me on the phone and be like, hey bro, like I actually decided I think I do want that house. I had a dream last night that spoke to me, or some shit like that. It could come in a lot of different ways though. So one, always know that the stuff that you're doing is gonna work, and two, stay patient enough, because this reality vibrates really slow and it takes time. This is not very dense. I mean, it's very dense and it's not very lightweight, so it's gonna take a while for stuff to come sometimes. But at the same time, like, since time doesn't always exist because the whole world's a contradiction, you could get it immediately or you could get it in 10 years. But don't think that something didn't work. It's always going to work. It's just a matter of the universe catching up, and aligning it in a timing that works for you, because you might think you know what you want or need, but you probably don't, because remember, we dumbed down here. But anyways, that's just something simple. So I mean, even though it can be very advanced, when you get to the very advanced level, even you'll realize even that is very simple as far as the things that we're capable of doing as spirits in all these different dimensions. Till next time.